We're going to take a look at solving equations by factoring, big numbers of course. So let's take a look at an example. Let's say we had 9x squared plus 6x minus 8 equals 0. Alright, so you need two numbers that multiply to the whatever the first and the last time multiplied together are. So 9 times negative 8 is 72. So two numbers that multiply to negative 72 and add to the middle, which is positive 6. Two numbers that multiply to negative 72. I don't know why I didn't put the negative. I'll put it in later. Alright, so the first step is find two numbers that multiply to the product, which means, you know, when you multiply the 9 and the negative 8, of the first and the last number, and adds to the middle number. This is a listening check. Color in example 1. Color in example 1. So let's find those two numbers, and we've just done this in a previous video. Just list it all out, 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, and so forth. And then let's break it down. So we have 1 times 72. 2 times what? 2 times half of 72. So 72 in dollars is 70 plus $2. Half of 70 is 35. Half of 2 is 1. So half of 72 is 36. So it's going to be 2 times 36. If I know 2 times 36, then I also know 4 times. For my previous note, half of $36 will be 30 plus 6. Half of 30 is 15. Half of 6 is 3, which gives me 18. So if I have 2 slices and I cut each of those in half, now I have 4. So 4 times 18. Now we can take half of 18 again because it's still an even number. So that's 10 plus 8. Half of 10 is 5. Half of 8 is 4. So that gives us 9. And if we have 4 pieces and cut each of those in half, we're going to now have 8 pieces. So 8 times 9. Okay, 9 is an odd number, so we can't cut half. But if we're able to cut half, that would have given us 16. So let's look at 3. So before we waste our time, we first check if it's divisible by 3 and 9. This is a listening check. Put a box around times 72 and a circle around positive 6. Alright, so 7 plus 2, because that's 72, is 9. So that's divisible by both 3 and 9. So once it's divisible, now you divide. You do long division. So I'm going to do long division of 3 and 9 at the same time. So first come first serve. What gets in the house? 72, outside 3. And then we're going to check 9 as well. So 72 and 9. Alright, then you sing my song. First you divide, then multiply, then subtract. Hey, bring it down. Again, if you're missing any of this work, you get a 0 in the whole notebook. So it's 3 times 24 is 72 and 9 times 8 is 72. So now once you have 3 times 24, you can take half of 24, which will break down to 20 plus 4. Half of 20 is 10, half of 4 is 2, so that's 12. So here 3 pieces, cut each of those in half. Now how many pieces do I have? 6. So that's going to give me 6 times 12. And look, that's what I'm looking for. 6 and 12 is going to give me 6. So now play around with the signs. So it needs to be negative 72 and positive 6. So if I put the negative with the 6, 12 minus 6 is 6, and 12 times negative 6 is negative 72. So those are my two numbers. Once you found your two numbers, go ahead and draw a 2 by 2 box. And put the first term in the first box, the last term in the last box, and the two numbers in the middle boxes. The order doesn't matter. And once again, don't forget the middle variable. And all variable means is letter. So let's go ahead and do that. So 2 by 2 box. First term is 9x squared. That goes into the first box. Last term is negative 8. And then the two middle are the two numbers. So put them, order doesn't matter. Don't forget the middle variable. So that's an x. Now you have to take us the greatest common factor, the horizontal greatest common factor. So what can I take out? Between 6 and 9 I can take out 3, and between x squared and x I can take out x. So now you're going to use that to fill the outsides of the box, and we've done this so much I'm not going to write down how to do it. So you can refer to previous notes. So 3x times something is 9x squared, and that's going to be 3x. That times that is that, so that's got to be 4. That times that is that, that's going to be negative 2. And then number 5, always check that the last square is true. Sometimes you guys are putting in answers and you haven't checked that last square. That last square must be true. So 4 times negative 2 is negative 8, so it's true. If your box doesn't work, check if you pulled out the greatest common factor, because that's the biggest mistake I've seen, that people are not pulling out the horizontal greatest common factor. So check that before you decide that it's not factorable. Alright, number 6, your factors are on the outside, so what I just circled. So you just put them in parentheses. So 3x plus 4 parentheses and 3x minus 2 parentheses equals 0. Once you have it like this, you're going to set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So each of the things equal to 0 and solve. So you're going to do 3x plus 4 equals 0 and 3x minus 2 equals 0. And then draw a river and solve. Move it to the other side. So it's going to be negative 4. So 3x equals negative 4. Divide both sides by 3. So you're going to get x equals negative 4 over 3. Or x is, take the negative to the other side, so it's positive 2. 3x equals 2. Divide by 3. You're going to get x equals 2 over 3. So those are your two answers. Alright, we're going to do a couple of shortcuts that are going to be very useful to save you some time. So example 2, instead of writing solve like I do here, write the word factor. That's a listening check. Instead of writing solve, write the word factor. So we're going to factor 9x to the 4th power minus 25. So I'm going to teach you a shortcut real quick. So the shortcut says, if you can take the square root of both terms, and they are separated by a negative. It has to be separated by a negative. Has to be separated by a negative. Has to be separated by a negative. Then take the square root of both terms. Listening check, color in the word shortcut. Shortcut, color it in. So what's the square root of 9? X to the 4th power. And the square root of 25. So the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of x to the 4th power is x squared. Square root of 25 is 5. So take the square root of both terms, write them twice with parentheses. So I'm going to write it again with parentheses and put a plus in one and a minus in the other. So plus in one, minus in the other. And that's it. That's the shortcut. So if you can take the square root of both and it's separated by a negative, that's a shortcut. Look at another example. So again, instead of solve, write factor there. Instead of the word solve, write factor. And so if you had 16c squared minus 8 to the 4th power. So the same thing. If you could take the square root of the first term and the last term and it's separated by a negative, go ahead and take the square roots. So those are the square roots. Do it twice and add 1 is plus, 1's negative. And that's it. Alright, let me take a look at another shortcut. So example 4. 81x squared plus 90x plus 25 equals 0. So put that equal to 0. I don't do it there, but put it equal to 0. So the shortcut says that if you take the square root of the first term and the last term, then check if half the middle number is your two numbers. Like half your middle number 2 times is your two numbers. As a listening check, put a box around shortcut on this paragraph we just wrote. So let's check. Square root of that, I can take the square root of that, and I can take the square root of that as well. If you can take the square root of those, check that half the middle number is two numbers. So what's half of 90? Well, half of 90 is what? 50 plus 40, which is equal to half of 50 is 25 and half of 40 is 20. So that's going to give me 45. So basically what I'm saying is 45 2 times is going to be your middle number. So you're checking 45, 45. So I'm going to check them. So it says find two numbers that multiply to the first and the last term, multiply together, the product, and add to the middle. So I'm going to check 81 times 25. And again, if you're missing any of this work, this whole notebook is a 0. So I do want to see this work. The listening check, color in this box, this entire box. So that's 2025. And now I'm going to check when I multiply 45 and 45, do I get 2025? Again, missing any of this work is a 0. Right, because I know when I add 45 plus 45, I'm going to get the middle term. So yes, When I multiply those two numbers, I get 20, 25, and when I add those two numbers, I get the middle 90. So I don't even have to go through looking for my whole two terms because they're always going to be half the middle twice. Alright, so draw your 2 by 2 box, put the first term in the first box, and the last term in your last box. So it's going to be 81x squared, and last one is 25. Then my middle two numbers, 45, with the middle variable, x. Take out the greatest common factor horizontally. So what can I take out? I can take out x for sure, and then what goes into 81 and 45. So again, if you don't know this off the top of your head, because I know it's not 2 or anything of 2, I'm going to check if it's divisible with 3 and 9. So 8 plus 1 is 9, which means 9 and 3 both go into them, you know, from our previous notes, when you add them up. So I can take out 9. So again, please make sure that you take out the greatest common factor. So go ahead and fill out the rest of the box. And then that times that is that, so that's what, 5. And then check the last box. 5 times 5 is 25. Perfect. So my two factors are going to be what's outside the box. So I'm going to get 9x plus 5 times 9x plus 5 equals 0. And then you set each of those into 0, or you can just write it as 9x plus 5 squared equals 0. So the same thing is going to work. Alright, so if you take the square root of both sides, you're going to get 9x plus 5, and the square root of 0 is still 0. And then move the 5 to the other side, that's going to be negative 5. So you're going to get 9x equals negative 5, divide both sides by 9, so you're going to get x is equal to negative 5 over 9. Now it doesn't make sense to put the same answer in twice, because then you just sound, you just sound weird. So x equals negative 5 over 9, and that's pretty much it. So really important that you remember these shortcuts. It makes it so simple. So let's practice.